Okay. Welcome to the podcast, Rain and you, Arman. Very happy to have you here.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
will, yeah, thank you. I'll just give a quick introduction about you and then I will ask you to introduce yourself. Um, so you're the Executive Director of NCPEDP, which is basically a National Center for Promotion of Employment for Disabled People. And you have worked a lot around disability rights, early intervention, inclusive strategies. And today, what I want to ask you about is mostly around these areas for the parental community that Ayurved has of children, of young adults who are now gradually reaching the stage wherein they should know about their legal rights. Lots of parents don't know about them. They don't know about employment opportunities. They don't have much of an idea about livelihood. So will take it like that. But before that, Arman, just give us a quick introduction about yourself.
Vandita, thank you for having me on this podcast. You know, I mean, first that, and then NCPEDP, as you said, National Center for Promotion of Employment for Disabled People, of which I am the executive director. That's my introduction. And I am also a person with disability. I have a locomotor disability. I use a wheelchair, so I am a person living with disability. And like the name suggests of NCPEDP, one would understand and have a thing, believe that we work for employment for disabled people. And that was the idea when we started the organization. The idea was that we could play a role of a catalyst between the employer and people with disability.
Yeah.
And this is back in 1996, like, almost 3 decades. And this was when the first Rights of Persons with Disability Act came, the Persons with
Yes.
Disability Act 1995, and it talked about incentive to private sector employers if the certain percentage of their workforce were people with disability.
Hmm.
And this was also the time when IT and ITS companies came to India, and the call center, the BPO jobs
Hmm.
started, and
Hmm.
and we also kind of had that outreach with the corporate. So we went to CIIs and NASCOMs, and everybody was saying, okay, we will be happy to them. And this idea of that desk job disabled people will be able to
Yep.
do.
Yeah.
And then when we started looking for people, and that they were looking for 10 plus 2 plus 3, that was the education criteria. In terms of 15 years of education was one of the criteria for getting a job with IT or BPOs or anything. And then we didn't find enough people.
Yeah.
Okay, and we also did this uh, uh, survey with the then Bombay Stock Exchange top 100 registered companies, and we found that it was less than 1% of their employees were people with disability. So we figured out where are the disabled people, and then we did another study on the top universities in India. Hardly any people with disability. And then we understood, okay, so without education you cannot get employment.
Hmm.
Without accessibility you cannot get education or employment.
Hmm.
And then the fourth point is there was a law in the country which mandated that education, there was a reservation in government in education institutions. There was this mandated that all transport system, whether it is rail, public transport, water vessels, airlines, has to be made accessible for people with disability. And employment, there was a reservation in public sector jobs, and it was incentive announced for private sector who had a certain percentage of people with disability. So NCPEDP changed its course, and we become an advocacy organization with focus on employment, education, accessibility, law and policy, and they create awareness about it. And the sixth pillar is youth. We thought
Yeah.
youth with disability must be empowered with this information. So if all that you see in the last 2 3 decades, we have led it. We have the National Disability Network, where we have partners across the country from all, and we have we are a cross disability organization, and we don't particularly only focus on one kind of a disability.
Hmm.
All disabled people have the same needs and the same
Yeah.
rights, and that's what we do. So whether you talk about accessible elections, job, private sector coming forward to employ people with disability, we run this award called the Helen Keller Award, from the last 25 years, recognizing all efforts made by individuals and organizations to promote employment of disabled people, and a Universal Design Award to promote accessibility. So it's a tool of advocacy that we do. We have created, helped create this Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disability, the new law, census, as I mentioned earlier, UPSC. So you name it. So we have kind of led the
Yeah.
discourse to create. This is what basically we do. We don't kind of
Understood.
so we will work on that all establishments should have an equal opportunity policy. So we will work on that policy. We try to see
Hmm.
that the policy is adopted. We will talk of reasonable accommodation. If the neurodivergent is working in an office and needs a quiet place for some time to calm
Hmm.
down, so that's part of your reasonable accommodation. It doesn't change your whatever task or KPI that you have or
Hmm.
KI that you have. So just to set the
Understood.
tone or
Understood.
context, yes, yeah.
I was going through the website and I did come across these 6 pillars. I do have a question linked to this eventually. But I want to start with this that you have personally worked across a lot of HR, early intervention, education, employment for people with disabilities. So I want to ask you for these parents who have younger children right now that what is one early sign in childhood that parents often miss, which later becomes a major barrier?
I think you mentioned early intervention. The parents should focus on the person, the child, and not on the disability. Okay, disability needs
Mm.
management. Early intervention gives you management, and you manage the child so that the child is able to get in onto life with whatever adjustments that you want.
Yeah,
Education cannot stop, whether it is special or whether it is inclusive or whether it is integrated or home. Education must happen. Your rehabilitation must happen, but it just cannot be a focus with blinker that we need to fix the child, and the child has a disability and disability ठीक हो जाएगा तो everything else will fall into place. I think that's a wrong notion that we have, and I've
yeah,
seen amongst a lot of parents who bring the children to various centers, rehabilitation clinics,
mm,
speech therapist, physiotherapist, and audiologist, and everybody, occupation therapist. Whole day the mother is sitting in that center,
yeah,
and then from one therapist to the another, and this goes on for years.
yeah,
And in that golden period of time where you are trying to get into the family or your inclusion in the neighborhood, you get a miss out of that. And I have been through that myself.
yeah,
Okay, so that then you're not seen in the family also don't understand the issue. They all think that there's some illness with the child, and that's
yeah,
why the parents are busy trying to fix them. So I
yeah,
think to have this very holistic approach is very important for the parents to decide that okay, it should be a
yeah,
part of the family, part of the neighborhood, the other
yeah.
children. So easier said than done,
I
Vandita.
know.
But
I
one
know.
has to be very
Yeah.
conscious. Like they
Mm,
say, it takes a village to bring up a
of
child.
course. Yeah.
So I think somewhere we have missed that part, and there's taboo, and you think it'll create
Yeah. Yeah.
so.
Yeah. I think you covered a bit of my next question, which was actually that, when parents first encounter a diagnosis and then they will wait and watch, they will have that approach and then they will often run around therapies, like you said. So, but I'll move to the next question that um, we
Vandita,
often,
yeah,
tell me.
just this thing of not accepting it,
Mhm.
that is the biggest problem. And if you acknowledge that there is an issue at hand, then you'll find solutions. But if you are in a denial and you're
Mm,
looking cure
mm,
and get it fixed, then the delay is
yeah,
criminal. Yeah,
unbearable.
just to
True.
set that tone. Sometimes because it's there, नहीं हो ही नहीं सकता है, not in our family, not with me.
Mm,
We don't have the thing, and then it gets into that loop of
mm,
vicious loop of getting
mm,
disability and so on. And also in India, it so much more for people who are rural areas who have no information, no access to all this that
true.
I've mentioned.
True.
Sorry, I
True.
interrupted you. Your next
No, no,
question.
no. Absolutely true, because this is exactly, Arman, normally, I would say the majority of the parents that Iyurved, the company, interacts with on a daily basis. So we have a call with almost 600 parents every day,
Right.
of which I would say 60% are those who have children who've just been diagnosed.
Right.
So this is very common for us to hear that school shuru hone wala hai, admissions aane wale hain. Just we need to get the
Mhm.
child fixed
Mhm.
before the
Mhm.
admission, because then only he can go to a normal school. So
Right.
that, and then
Right.
there's a lot this thing about I can't let my neighbor know, or I can't let my in-laws know.
Right.
So yes, and I think yeah, it is tough, and this is the reality. Like you said, easier said than done. I mean, but I think you have full right to say this because you are sitting on that side wherein you have overcome everything and you are where you are.
Vandita, you
So
don't
I'm very,
overcome. I think none of us overcome. You live with it. You learn to live with it, actually.
yeah,
You
but
know,
you've overcome the denial.
it's yeah, overcome the denial is one part of it. That's very personal, I say. It's
Yeah,
very personal for you to understand what is your gender and your your nationality or your food habit. You accept it, and you don't decide. Somebody else don't decide on what how many spoon of sugar that you want in your tea. So the small things that, and then I think the biggest thing is about identity, and the parents
yeah,
also, once you accept it, you'll start looking for solution. So, and I don't think we can overcome. I mean, even given whoever I am or whatever I do, I have my own struggles
yeah,
on an everyday basis because the world is not built for us.
yeah,
It is built for the majority of the
yeah,
people
yeah,
who can see, people who can walk, people who can hear, people who can decide on certain things without people who have an agency to do things. So
yeah.
so you don't find it, and there's nothing called a normal school. It's a regular school which is designed for, again, a
True.
majority of people who can participate into education you know
Yeah,
in a
yeah, yeah,
in a typical way. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so actually next question is linked to that, that parents often focus on therapies and tools for intervention. However, whatever I've read about what you write, or what you have spoken about in the last decade or so, you emphasize a lot on rights, on identity, on inclusion. So, from a parent's perspective, what's one mindset shift that can unlock progress faster than shell out on services?
I wish I had the answers. Again, I'm very conscious about it, because disability is so evolving. It's and it's so diverse, and it's a spectrum of things, right? Even if you're neurodivergent, the spectrum itself is so large,
Yeah,
right? And somebody who has a locomotor disability, for me, it's so much easy to say things, "Ki, haan, theek hai, XYZ." Uh, but I've seen parents, organizations who are saving money every bit to decide that what will happen when they are not there to take care
yeah,
of the child, when they are no more. And when the children who are adults now have intellectual disability and
mm,
developmental disability, who will look after them? So, and then
mm,
this fear kind of makes you very, shakes your ground,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
all logics, is out of the window. You just
yeah,
want to ensure the safety, dignity, life, and just to and protect them through this. I think very important, as you said, no, we need to accept who we are and not be apologetic about it. There's no need to be apologetic about any of our disability. We are on one of the diversities in this world. Systems are not into place. It is the systemic problem that we face. And I also feel that a lot of young parents now are not apologetic. They are taking their children to various places where they go, whether they're traveling or any other public event or restaurants. They are, but again, as you go a little, to smaller towns, smaller
mm,
places, education is or awareness is not there, then
mm,
there are issues. We see people like, the comedians are making fun of disability.
mm,
There are parents who are fighting back as well. They're fighting a
yeah,
case in the Supreme Court, getting apologize and so on. So I think for me, I think for the parents, it's very important that you understand the what is the condition and what is need to be done, and what tools that you have, what is the constitution telling you, what is the rights of person with disability
yeah,
telling you.
yeah, yeah,
And at the end of the day, there's nothing which is free lunch, right? I think wherever you're going, everything, people, we are paid paying tax. We're
True.
paying tax directly or indirectly. But why not for us? Why things are not planned thinking about people with disability, people with different kind of disability, which is identified by Indian law. So why there's no quiet room somewhere? Why people have to be apologetic when you are going to any place or a cinema hall or a bus or a restaurant or a mall. So we
Yeah.
have to question that. People who are able to buy, we are all consumers. And this is a time where
True.
everything is private. Almost everything is private, from whatever we
Yeah.
do, um, from airlines to cinema hall to restaurants to everything. So, and we are paying for this. It's not that because when you show your disability ID, you're getting
Yeah.
70
Very
percent.
valid point. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So all that, so I think parents and disabled people themselves have this responsibility on them to
Yeah.
project themselves that, okay, in India, I think has the highest number of disabled people in the world, and we
Hmm.
are a sizable number. So if we keep hiding and be apologizing to them, I the other day was a very one of the biggest mall in Delhi. I saw a person with disability who came in his scooter with the extra wheels, the three
Mm,
wheeler,
mm, mm,
with his friend,
mm,
and parked just at the entrance of the mall and asked the security to give him the wheelchair which the mall provides. And
mm,
it was just about when I was leaving. They did get the wheelchair, but they were not allowing him to park his scooter next to the staircase. He said, "You have to take it to the parking. Then in the parking, who will take that wheelchair there?" And they get into a bit of a kind of discomfort. And that man also was very uncomfortable because he had locomotor disability. His friend was there. It's just because you're not organized sometimes. This, if you know that if you go to the basement and you park, there's a lift and I can get a wheelchair there. Why is the systems are not in place? It's because
yeah.
we just want to say कि "अरे, I have a disability, मुझे जाने दो. I have a disability, please discount दे दो." Stuff like that. We are very apologetic, and also always there's a plea, and you don't talk as a consumer that I have come to your mall. I'm going to buy
Yeah.
something. I'm going to eat something. I'm going
Yeah.
to watch a movie. I'm adding to your revenue, so you might as well treat me well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
You,
know, but
you,
I don't know if all this makes sense to you or not.
no,
But
it does. I think ultimately, one emotion that I see coming out is people and families, they have to speak up for themselves.
of course,
And I want to touch on that, on the rights bit. So you mentioned the six pillars of NCPEDP, which is accessibility, education, employment, law policy, awareness, and youth, you mentioned in the end.
yeah.
Which one of these do you see are most ignored for neurodiverse children? And how can a parent begin to tackle it?
I think there is no system. One of the things that we are currently focused on is health. We are
Mm.
looking at health as a very important area, and we've been working on health insurance for disabled people, which is flatly denied.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
So it's like part of our awareness and advocacy, law policy work. We keep taking various issues from time to time, and I think when you don't have protection, when you are vulnerable and you don't have protection, there's no safety net for you.
Yeah,
Is the biggest thing. If you are if you the cost of disability, I would say, when you have a child with disability in the family, or a person who's elderly and become disabled, or a person, any kind of disability, there is an additional cost. Is
of
because you're
course.
not able to use the public services because
Yeah.
they're not designed, not all of them are designed according to your needs. So you end up taking a taxi where you could take a bus, you take a flight where you could take a train, we could take a
Mm.
and so on. You cannot go to the neighborhood restaurant because not, you have to go to a mall or a five-star, or and so on and so forth. Like, you have to go to places which has lift there for disability. And neurodivergent, again, sometimes it is invisible, there's no awareness about it, and then you get ill treated, and then it kind of creates a havoc in the family itself. So for me, I think the biggest thing is to create awareness about it
Yeah,
a lot, talk about it, and then look at what is the safety net that you need for,
yeah,
because it's a very new discourse in the last 5 years, or 4 5 years. People are talking about neurodivergent, and identifying themselves as them, or parents are coming forward to talk. But I think I also need to build a lot of my understanding on the same subject. And that's it's that kind of vague in many people, and sometimes you think that they are taking advantage of it, and they're faking it. All that
Yeah.
is a major hurdle. And once we cross it, first with the acceptance and the awareness of it, then you look at the safety net that you need because of this condition to protect you from any sort of discrimination.
Yeah.
What Because
Yeah.
it discriminates, the system automatically discriminates. There's multiple gatekeeping. The school will say, no,
Mm.
no, or you bring a shadow teacher. I don't know if you heard
Mm.
about this terms and
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Pay for a shadow teacher. So why is the government not paying for the shadow teacher?
Yeah.
Why this? If I'm paying a fee, then to the school, then they should arrange for anything. The law. So all this need to be called out, need to be planned,
Yeah.
to be budgeted. Resource has to be, brought out. It's not on them. In a country, for example, India, education is a fundamental right. The constitution guarantees it's a free and
Yeah.
compulsory education of. So what about disabled students? What about children with disability?
Yeah.
So why is there
Yeah.
no discourse? Where is the budget in every state? Where
Yeah.
where is the
Yeah.
teacher?
Yeah.
Where is the
Yeah.
system? Why not
Yeah.
the therapy is coming? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, actually, my next question is connected to school and children's education. But just because you picked up this point of insurance, this is something I've been hearing for the last, I think, couple of years. We do plan to do some kind of a roundtable sometime in March or April on this topic. So we are getting experts around the table. And it is good to know that, that is also one of the priorities for you right now. So we will touch base on that separately. But I want to know this that, you mentioned about dropout. So many schools and workplaces, they talk about inclusion, but in reality, children still drop out. People don't get promoted, or they end up not being employed or underemployed. So what is that one advice if you have for parents or young adults to make sure that the individual or the child is included to be more productive and they're employed?
It's a very personal thing because we cannot have a blanket approach on this. For every class which has 50 to 60 or 100 students, everybody doesn't make it to IS or a doctor or an engineer. There are dropouts for non-disabled students also. That's quite high at the secondary level in India and so on. But when you have a disability already, it's very important that, as I said again, to look for solutions. What kind of a technology or an assistive device or you know, any other or a human intervention will help you get education at par so that you, whatever is your potential, you're able to reach that potential in education
Yeah.
system, skill yourself that way. And with that, only you can ask for a job which you can do. And when you are trained through that process, when you get education in that process, then you know your systems, whether you need a system, a software or a device, or any human intervention or a caregiver, or certain change in policy in terms of reasonable accommodation. These solutions you will have to know yourself, and
Mm.
in a systemic manner. It's not that if I am doing a job, you pay me less than the others. You don't pay me more, you don't pay me less, but I will do the job which I have applied for, and whatever is the deliverables are. Whether I'm in a retail store, doing packaging, or I am a coder or whatever it is. Every job comes with its dignity. The dignity of labor has to be respected
Yeah.
without crossing over the boundary of equal opportunity policy or reasonable accommodation. So I think for us to first to know what support system that we want, all that is
Yeah.
important to find as early in childhood as possible, for the parents to know that, okay, this is what will make. For me, a wheelchair, which is good, it took me about 7 8 years to figure out what kind I want, though it comes
Okay.
very expensive. It's active, it adds to my work lifestyle, my personality. I know how to use it, where to go. It's customized, and so on. So for us to know what will work for you as a parent, and then organize everything around it. It starts with you and your disability, and whatever is the intervention that is required. You need quiet time, you need you know work from home, or you need any other intervention, whether it is human or machine or technology. But technology has a lot of solutions for everybody, and we should get to know
Mm.
this as much as we
Mm.
can.
You actually touched upon this rights, and this is I will end with this question, but I think this is the most important question for me. Uh, Arman, you have participated in a lot of committees and you've helped shape a lot of policy for individuals, for children with disabilities. What is one rule or policy, if I can generalize, or maybe for neurodiverse, or something that's going to be useful for all parents that they should know about, but you feel that they are not aware of?
You know, simple is to know your right. Like first, number one, we have to realize we are a citizen of this country, and we our rights are the same as we are not a second class citizen. Okay, we are the citizen of the country, and our rights are protected by the Constitution of India. So that's number one. Number two, to my mind, that you should know that in the Rights of Persons with Disability Act protects you from any discrimination which
Hmm.
is made towards you basis on your disability. I think this is something very powerful. It's a punishable
Hmm.
offense if you are insulted in public, if you are abused physically. The Section 92 of RPwD Act, it from 6 months to 5 years of jail, and there is penalty, which is also thing people don't know about it. All the
Good.
time, people being insulted, and so you cannot be discriminated basis on your disability. All products, services, even political participation, you cannot be discriminated. The
Okay.
law is celebrated. So you should know this, and I don't think you have to be apologetic about all this. And
Can
it's,
I ask? Can I ask you, let's say a parent faces discrimination for their child, or some individual faces. What should they do? I mean, is there a portal or a platform where they can go
so,
and
so,
file
so, so
complaint?
so for example, if you look at Education in Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, it says all education institutions, either funded by government or recognized by the government, cannot should provide inclusive education.
Got it.
So, for example, if you're recognized of us, if you're a CBSE school or any other board of the state, then you cannot say no. So when you are going there and you're denied admission in the school basis on your disability, you should raise it to the education department and the commissioner of disability of the state. Ki, why
Got
I'm
it.
being denied? And if there is a need to get shadow teacher in the school, then create a cadre of 5,000 shadow teacher in the state. Let them do multiple school at a multiple time. There are all of so we need to raise all this that way. Otherwise, you.
Yes.
So I think for
Yeah.
education is fun.
Understood.
Your health is fundamental, and as you mentioned about health insurance, so NCPEDP is running this campaign from last. We've been working on insurance from last 2 years
Hmm.
uh, aggressively, and now the we are saying Ayushman Bharat should cover all disabled people irrespective of their income or disability or age, like it is for the senior citizen above the age of 70. So that is something we are doing it in a big way, and we want more people to join. We have gone across the country. More than 5,000 people have answered our survey, and we have a very good understanding of what is the need and what is the mood of disabled people in that way. So that's something very important
Understood.
area that we are working, and happy to get more people on board in this.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. And even this particular thing. So we do hear the shadow teachers is a very, very big concern. And not every parent can just go ahead and afford this. A handful of those. And imagine you have to do it for the rest of their school career. So yeah, I think that should be our next topic. So basically, the idea of Ayurved being involved here is one is definitely awareness. Parents get to learn from people like you about their rights, about possibilities, opportunities. So, and secondly, we get to get experts like you around a table with some parent representatives and several such experts who are like you are working in different states across on a table to see um, what is really going on in silos, if at all, and if it can be joined up together. Because I think insurance somehow, yeah, it's a pity that there's hardly anything. As far as I know, there is one organization giving hardly 5 lakhs, which is nothing. So, okay, this has been wonderful, Armanji, for me personally. I would be connected with you and
Sure,
see how
sure.
we can contribute to the work you're doing and look for your support in the work that we do.
always.
If there's anything you wish to add, please do so.
No, I think this is a good start. Let's keep this going. I mean, we are a very small, humble organization. I'm also a very small in terms of whatever I do. We need a lot of hands and legs and minds and
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
We need a lot of people to come and join this work that we do. So
yeah,
that we
of
all.
course, of course.
So
Yeah,
yeah, we need to raise the bar. That's it. Make it
yeah,
impossible for people to ignore disability.
yeah. I see Javed ji behind you.
Yes,
We go back long way when I
yeah,
think I met him once, and his brother Amir used to work with us in one of the schools we used to run in a village near
yeah.
Mathura. So
Right.
yeah, a great person. So yeah, good. Um, Thank you so much, Arman.
Yep. Anytime.
Thank you for
Thank you so
this.
much. Bye bye.
Okay.